to a beach? Well, my first trip was a blast, but also one of the most interesting vacations I had ever been on. My family of five and three other families, one being family and two of them being really good family friends of ours, decided that we were going to spend a week on a beach down in the Gulf Shores of Alabama. As the day approached that we were supposed to leave, we were all getting really anxious and excited to go, but what I don't think we realized was that we were all going to be stuck in three cars for 14 hours straight. Keep in mind there was probably about 20 of us, I think. We decided to leave at night, so we left about 9 o'clock p.m. from our hometown and decided to drive straight through just so it would make it easier and we would get there faster. We didn't want to have to stay overnight and then wake up and start driving again, so we just decided to drive all night until we got there. So after multiple stops for gas or food and switching drivers so that none of us fell asleep, we finally made it to the state of Alabama. But we still had to drive from Alabama down all the way to the beach. But this seemed like the worst part to me. I feel like it took forever, just the anticipation of getting there and the fact that we were crammed into, like I said, three cars and there was awful traffic the entire state of Alabama. It was stop and go and it just took forever. I thought we were never going to make it. But we finally made it to the beach where our house was literally on the beach. Like you walked down the stairs and you were in sand. So that was pretty cool. During the week that we were there, we got to experience so many cool things. The first 3 days we spent mostly at the beach just relaxing. So that was pretty laid back, but it was also a lot of fun. It was my first time at the beach, so I didn't really have anything to compare it to, so it was really cool to see. Within those days spent on the beach, there were a few jellyfish stings amongst a couple of us, but they weren't ever severe, so we were all fine. But the coolest thing that we got to experience was one night there was a couple older men with fishing poles just seeing what they could catch or whatever, and we were walking along the beach and we stopped by there because they were all like mesmerized and they had caught a baby shark they had in a bucket. So we asked if we could hold it and get a picture of it. So I have that picture and that's pretty cool. We also got to visit and eat at the Hangout, which is a pretty famous attraction down there. It's just a restaurant with a bunch of stores around it. There's a stage for people to perform at. There was a giant bubble machine, so all the little kids got to play in mounds of bubbles, so that was pretty cool. And at night, when it gets dark, they have certain songs that the waitresses and waiters will get up on these tables and dance to these songs. Most of them are line dances, and they encourage us to do it too, but I don't think any of us really did. We were too embarrassed to do that, but that was a pretty cool place to see. On our very last day, we went to a go-kart track, and that was exciting as well because that was my first time racing go-karts. I never really wanted to, but they all convinced me to. It was also fun to see the little kids do it because that's something that they can do. So that was cool to see them race those. But after that, we kind of just chilled on the beach again just to soak up our last day being down there because it's beautiful. Although I had a lot of fun on this trip, it was something that I'll never forget. There were a lot of things that I don't miss about that trip. So, I loved it, but being crammed in a car for 14 hours was awful. Being crammed in two houses with 20 people was not my favorite thing. It was really close quarters, and you could definitely tell by the end of the trip that we were all ready to go home. We would get easily annoyed with each other. We all just kind of wanted to chill out and not do anything because we were so tired from being up all night and just having fun that we were ready to be home. This trip taught me a lot. It taught me to be open-minded. I'm not one to try new things, so doing all of this down there kind of got me out of my shell a little bit, so I really liked that. It was also, like I said, my first time at a beach, so it was really cool. I always tell my parents that I want to go back. I loved it down there. I loved the heat. It was an amazing trip. But I will definitely say that you have to be okay with the people that you're going with because spending a week in only two houses with 20 people was definitely an interesting experience, and something I wouldn't suggest to most people. So that was my first trip, and a very interesting trip to the Gulf Shores of Alabama.